5 cryptid cases, 5 separate centuries, 5 different countries, and 5 reports that were never marked closed. A deputy sheriff in West Virginia in November of 1966 took a witness statement at midnight at the Mason County Courthouse from 2 young couples who said something with red eyes had chased their car at over 100 miles per hour. A sheriff in South Carolina in June of 1988 examined grip marks and scratches across the roof and body of a teenager's Ford LTD, damage he photographed himself, and later arranged a polygraph the boy passed. A patrol officer in Ohio in March of 1972 filed an incident report at the end of his shift after his headlights caught something crouched on a guardrail above the Little Miami River. Police dispatches flooded more than 30 New Jersey and Pennsylvania towns in a single week of January 1909, after a postmaster and a Bristol police officer fired their service revolvers at a winged figure over the river. And a king of France in 1764 sent his own royal gunbearer south into the Margeride Mountains to hunt something that had already killed more than 100 people. What you are about to hear isn't folklore. It is documented testimony from people with badges, with rank, with reputations they did not want to lose. These are the cases the paper trail says they couldn't explain. These are the cases that wouldn't stay closed. Point Pleasant, West Virginia, November 15th, 1966, just after midnight. 2 young couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry, Steve and Mary Millett, drove past the abandoned TNT munitions plant on the edge of town. Their headlights caught a tall, gray figure standing at the edge of the woods, over 7 feet tall, wings folded behind its back, 2 red eyes the size of car reflectors staring straight through the windshield. The creature lifted into the air without a single wing flap and kept perfect pace with their car at over 100 miles per hour. No sound, no effort, just those burning red eyes reflected in the rearview mirror. The couples didn't go home. They drove straight to the Mason County Courthouse. Deputy Sheriff Millard Halstead was on duty. He knew the couples. He took the reports seriously and followed them back to the TNT area. His police radio filled with static, nothing else. The next morning, Sheriff George Johnson held a press conference. Within 48 hours, the story ran in the Point Pleasant Register under the headline, "Couples See Man-Sized Bird." The press named it Mothman the next day. Over the next 13 months, more than 100 people reported sightings. Police officers, ministers, teachers, even a National Guard pilot. Then on December 15th, 1967, the Silver Bridge collapsed during evening rush hour. 46 people died. The sightings stopped. But Deputy Halstead's report remained in the Mason County file. The Mason County file never closed. 22 years later, a different sheriff in a different state opened a different file. The creature was new. The pattern in the paperwork was not. Lee County, South Carolina, June 29th, 1988. Just past 2 in the morning, 17-year-old Christopher Davis was finishing a spare tire on a back road at the edge of Scape swamp when he heard something move in the soybeans behind him. He turned and saw it, roughly 7 feet tall, standing upright, green, scale-like skin, 3 long fingers on each hand, 2 glowing red eyes. It growled, then it charged. Davis scrambled into his car and accelerated hard. The creature reached the vehicle, climbed onto the roof, and held on. He swerved violently across the road, trying to throw it off. It stayed. Then finally, it dropped away. Davis drove straight to the sheriff's department. Sheriff Liston Truesdale knew the Davis family. The next morning, he examined the car himself. There were grip marks on the roof and fresh scratches in the chrome around the side mirror. Physical damage consistent with the boy's account. Truesdale was skeptical. In August, he arranged a polygraph. Davis passed. The sheriff's department released the results publicly. Within weeks, 3 more witnesses came forward. The photographs of the damaged car were entered into the Lee County file. The case was never formally closed. 16 years earlier, in a small town in Ohio, a patrol officer filed a report of his own. He never recanted it either. Loveland, Ohio, March 3rd, 1972, 1 o'clock in the morning. Patrol Officer Ray Shockey was driving south on Riverside Drive near the Little Miami River when his headlights caught movement at the edge of the road. He braked. In the beam stood an animal, 3 to 4 feet tall, leathery skin. It rose from a crouch and stood upright like a frog on its hind legs. The face was wrong, not like any animal Shockey could name. It climbed over the guardrail and dropped down toward the river. Shockey turned around at the next exit, returned to the spot, and filed the report at the end of his shift. 2 weeks later, another Loveland officer, Mark Matthews, claimed he saw the same creature in the same area. He fired his service weapon. He placed what remained in the trunk of his cruiser and brought it back to show Shockey. The two officers never publicly agreed on what had been in that trunk. Years later, Matthews told a reporter it had only been a large, tailless iguana mistaken in the dark. Shockey was asked for comment. He did not retract his original report. The original sighting log remains a Loveland Police Department incident report dated March 3rd, 1972. Officer Ray Shockey, badge on file. They never agreed on what he shot. A patrol officer's report carries weight because of the uniform. In January of 1909, a postmaster and a police officer in Bristol, Pennsylvania, fired on something together. The press wrote it down. The week of January 16, 1909, New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania. Across 7 days, more than 1,000 people in over 30 towns reported the same creature. Cloven hoof prints appeared in the snow on rooftops, in fenced yards, across open fields in long, unbroken straight lines for miles, with no tracks leading in and none leading out. In Bristol, Pennsylvania, on the morning of January 17th, Postmaster E.W. Minster and a Bristol police officer both saw a winged figure with a horse-like head gliding over the river. The officer drew his service revolver and fired. The press recorded every detail. In Camden, New Jersey, 2 days later, a fire company turned their hose on a dark figure perched on a rooftop. It screeched and flew away. Factories in Camden and Bristol sent workers home early. Schools in 3 counties closed at noon. Police dispatches piled up across more than 30 towns in a single week. By the end of that week, the Philadelphia Zoo offered a $10,000 reward for the creature, alive. That was $10,000 in 1909, more than $300,000 today. The reward was never claimed. The reward was never withdrawn. The 1909 dispatches remain in regional newspaper archives with the postmaster's name on them and the officer's name on them. A postmaster and a police officer in 1909 don't outrank a king. In 1764, the French royal court received a report of its own. It commissioned a hunt. South Central France, June 30th, 1764. 14-year-old shepherdess Jeanne Boulet led her flock into the Margeride Mountains. She never came home. Witnesses described the same animal again and again. The size of a large calf, the long head of a greyhound, reddish fur with a dark stripe down its spine, and a tail that matched no wolf in the region. Within a year, more than 100 people had been taken, most of them women and children working the high pastures alone. In August 1765, 19-year-old Marie-Jeanne Vallée was attacked at a river crossing near Paulhack. She fixed a bayonet to a stick, drove it into the creature's chest, and survived. Her statement was recorded by the local clergy. The reports reached Versailles. King Louis XV sent his own royal gun-bearer, François Antoine, south to Gévaudan. Antoine shot a large wolf at the Abbey of Chaz and declared the case closed. The killings resumed 3 months later. In June 1767, farmer Jean Chastel waited on the slopes of Montmouchet and fired one shot. The creature fell. The carcass was taken to a nearby chateau and examined. The surgeon recorded teeth that did not match any wolf, fur of an unusual color, and human remains inside the stomach. The animal has never been positively identified. 5 cases, 5 sworn reports, 5 files that were never closed. In West Virginia, the Mason County file. In South Carolina, the Lee County polygraph and the damaged car. In Ohio, the Loveland police incident report and the disagreement over what was in the trunk. In New Jersey and Pennsylvania, the 1909 dispatches and the unclaimed Philadelphia Zoo reward. In France, the royal record of a hunt that never identified what it killed. The paper is still there. The witnesses never recanted. Shadow Files Vault. Subscribe if you're not afraid to listen.